Love is not just built on physical intimacy. For men, falling deeply in love requires more than desire. It requires connection, trust, and meaning. Many think men only want one thing, but the truth runs deeper. When the right emotional needs are met, a man's heart opens in ways that passion alone cannot unlock. Let's uncover 7 things men need even more than sex to truly fall in love. Respect is not a word that gets spoken about enough when it comes to men and love, yet it is the quiet force that shapes everything. For a man, respect is not about control or dominance. It's about feeling recognized for his effort, his choices, and his identity. When a man feels truly respected, it breathes life into his spirit in a way nothing else can. It's not the grand gestures that matter most, but the subtle ones, the way his opinions are considered instead of dismissed, the way his hard work is acknowledged instead of taken for granted, the way his presence is valued without conditions. Respect is felt in silence, in the way someone looks at him with trust, in the way she listens as though his voice has meaning, in the way she stands beside him instead of against him when the world is already testing him enough. The truth is, men often walk through life carrying invisible burdens. They fight battles that nobody else ever sees because the world expects them to be strong, unshaken, and unbreakable. But underneath that armor is a simple desire to matter, to know that the person they love doesn't see them as replaceable, but as someone worthy of admiration. When respect is present, a man doesn't feel the need to shout for attention. He doesn't feel the urge to prove himself endlessly because he already knows he is valued where it matters most. It softens him, opens him, and allows him to love without fear of being diminished. On the other hand, when respect is missing, something within him starts to close. Love becomes fragile, and no amount of physical intimacy can compensate for the sting of being disregarded. Disrespect doesn't always show itself in loud arguments. It shows in sarcasm, in constant criticism, in making light of his dreams, in dismissing his struggles as unimportant. Every time that happens, love weakens. But when respect is alive, love grows stronger. It creates a safe ground where admiration and affection can bloom naturally. A man in love doesn't want someone who agrees with him on everything, but he does want someone who values his perspective, someone who can challenge him with kindness, someone who makes him feel like the effort he gives to the relationship is seen. That feeling, more than anything else, makes him fall in love, not because it feeds his ego, but because it tells him he is not invisible. Respect is the quiet fire that turns attraction into devotion, and without it, love rarely survives. Admiration and support are 2 of the deepest longings in a man's heart, though many will never say it out loud. To admire a man is not about placing him on a pedestal or inflating his pride. It is about letting him feel that who he is and what he does matters to someone he loves. Every man wants to know that his efforts are seen, that his sacrifices do not go unnoticed, that the hours he spends working, providing, building, or even simply trying to improve himself are not wasted in silence. The smallest words of encouragement, the simplest recognition of his progress, can carry more weight than the grandest physical gestures. When a man feels admired, he stands taller, not because his ego is fed, but because his heart is fueled. Support is the invisible hand that lifts him when he doubts himself. No man walks through life without moments of uncertainty, times when he questions whether he is enough, or whether his dreams are too far out of reach. In those moments, love has the power to speak life into him. A supportive presence whispers, "I believe in you," even when he doesn't fully believe in himself. That belief, that unwavering trust in his potential, becomes the anchor that keeps him from drifting into despair. It gives him courage to keep moving forward, not just for himself, but for the bond he cherishes. When admiration and support are missing, love feels hollow. A man may still stay, he may still try, but inside he feels unseen, as if all his effort and energy vanish into nothingness. He begins to wonder if his presence truly makes a difference, or if he could disappear and nothing would change. This silent erosion is one of the greatest threats to his heart, for it slowly convinces him that he is replaceable. But when admiration and support are alive in a relationship, everything changes. He feels at home not because the world outside has become easier, but because he knows he has a partner who notices his fight and believes in his strength. This gives him the freedom to love with more depth, to open his heart fully, because he is no longer carrying the weight of his battles alone. When a man is admired for who he is and supported for who he is becoming, love ceases to be a struggle. It becomes a sanctuary. Emotional safety is one of the most overlooked, yet most powerful needs a man has when it comes to love. The world often teaches men that they must be strong, unshaken, and always in control. From a young age, many are told not to cry, not to show weakness, not to let their guard down. Over time, this creates a habit of wearing a mask, of hiding feelings, of pretending everything is fine even when it isn't. But when it comes to love, that mask cannot last forever. A man may be able to charm with confidence, protect with strength, or impress with success, but deep inside, he longs for a space where he doesn't have to perform. Emotional safety is that space. It's the feeling that he can share his fears, his failures, his insecurities, and still be accepted without judgment. When a man finds someone who provides this kind of safety, something remarkable happens. His walls begin to fall. He starts to show his real self, the side he hides from the rest of the world. He may reveal his dreams, his childhood wounds, or the doubts he never speaks aloud. This vulnerability is not a weakness. It is the purest form of trust he can give. A man doesn't fall in love with someone who makes him feel invincible, but with someone who makes him feel safe enough to be human. Without emotional safety, love becomes shallow. He may stay on the surface, offering affection, but never the full depth of his heart. If every mistake is criticized, if every fear is belittled, or if his softer side is mocked, he learns to close up. The relationship might still have passion, but it will lack intimacy, because intimacy is built not on pleasure alone, but on trust. But when emotional safety is alive, love flourishes. A man in such a bond feels free to express himself, knowing he won't be shamed for it. He no longer fears being misunderstood because he knows his vulnerability is handled with care. This transforms the relationship into more than romance. It becomes a refuge, and in that refuge, love deepens. For a man, the ability to take off his armor and still feel accepted is one of the greatest gifts he can ever receive. That is when his love shifts from temporary desire to lasting devotion. Companionship and friendship form the quiet core of love, the part that goes beyond attraction and desire. Every man craves a partner who feels like his closest friend, someone with whom he can share laughter, adventures, and even silence without discomfort. Companionship is not about constant activity or endless conversations. It is about presence. It is about knowing that no matter what the day brings, there is someone willing to walk beside him, not just in moments of triumph, but in the dull, ordinary routines of life. The evenings spent cooking together, the long drives with music filling the space, the simple joy of sitting in peace after a long day. These are the memories that weave lasting bonds. Friendship within love carries a different kind of weight. It allows men to be playful, to joke, to share their passions without feeling judged. A partner who shares his excitement over little things, who listens when he talks about his goals or hobbies, becomes more than a lover. She becomes his safe place in joy as well as in struggle. This friendship creates a foundation that survives when passion ebbs, because passion is a flame, but companionship is the steady warmth that keeps the fire alive through every season. Without companionship, a relationship often feels empty, no matter how much attraction exists. A man may feel admired, respected, even desired, but if there is no friendship, there is no glue to hold it all together. Love becomes mechanical, reduced to obligations and routines, rather than being fueled by genuine connection. Over time, this absence can create distance, leaving both partners feeling like strangers living under the same roof. But when companionship is alive, love feels effortless. A man begins to see his partner as someone he can truly enjoy life with, not just someone he must provide for or protect. She becomes the one he wants to share news with first, the one he wants by his side in celebrations and in setbacks. This sense of togetherness makes him fall deeper because it assures him that love isn't only about intensity, it is also about stability. For men, having a partner who is both lover and friend means they no longer face life alone, and that companionship, that unshakable presence, becomes one of the strongest reasons a man's heart commits completely. Trust and loyalty are the cornerstones of lasting love, and for a man they mean far more than surface-level promises. A man may be strong in many areas of life, but when it comes to love, his heart is fragile if he cannot trust. Trust is not built in grand moments. It grows in the consistency of words matching actions, in the reliability of being where you say you'll be, in the comfort of knowing that loyalty is not conditional. When a man feels secure in trust, he no longer questions whether his love is safe. He knows it is. That certainty frees him to give his heart fully, without holding back pieces of himself in fear of betrayal. Loyalty to a man is not just about physical faithfulness. It's about knowing that when life tests him, the person he loves will not abandon him. It's about seeing that his weaknesses won't be used against him, and that his dreams won't be dismissed when they seem impossible. Loyalty shows itself in small things. The way someone stands beside him when others criticize, the way she believes in him when he's doubted, the way she chooses the relationship even when circumstances grow hard. Every act of loyalty reassures him that he has a partner who is not temporary, but steady. When trust and loyalty are missing, love rarely survives. Suspicion grows like poison, and the constant weight of uncertainty chips away at affection. A man who feels betrayed, whether through lies, dishonesty, or disloyalty, will often retreat into himself. He may stay in the relationship physically, but emotionally, he begins to withdraw. Without trust, even passion feels empty because there is no foundation beneath it. But when trust and loyalty are alive, love transforms. A man feels safe enough to share his heart without fear of being deceived. He feels proud of the bond he has built, knowing it can withstand challenges and temptations. He no longer wonders if he is investing his love into something fleeting, because loyalty assures him it is built to last. For him, trust is not just a comfort, it is a necessity. And loyalty is not just a virtue, it is the promise that allows him to fall, knowing he will not be broken. With trust and loyalty, his love doesn't just grow, it thrives, and it deepens into something that time and trials cannot shake. Peace and acceptance are the hidden treasures that make love feel like home for a man. The world outside often demands so much from him. Competition, responsibility, endless battles to prove his worth. In that constant storm, what his heart longs for most is a place where he can finally rest. Peace in a relationship does not mean the absence of challenges, but it means the presence of understanding. It is knowing that the one he loves does not see him as a project to be fixed or a problem to be solved, but as a person who is already enough. Acceptance is the quiet assurance that he is loved for who he is, not only for what he provides or achieves. When a man finds peace with someone, he feels a relief that no success in the outside world can offer. He doesn't have to defend himself constantly, doesn't have to perform endlessly, doesn't have to live in fear of judgment. Instead, he can breathe. He can sit in silence without pressure, share his flaws without shame, and admit his mistakes without fear of rejection. That kind of acceptance becomes a refuge, a sanctuary where his soul can settle. Without peace and acceptance, love quickly turns into exhaustion. If every interaction is filled with criticism, if every weakness is magnified instead of embraced, if every moment together feels like a battlefield, a man begins to associate the relationship with stress rather than safety. Even if passion and attraction exist, they cannot survive the constant tension of unrest. A man may stay, but his heart will search for calm because love is not supposed to feel like war. But when peace and acceptance are alive, everything changes. A man begins to soften, to show sides of himself that he guards from the rest of the world. He laughs more easily, he opens more freely, and he gives more deeply. He knows he is not perfect, but he no longer fears imperfection because he is loved as he is. This acceptance draws him closer, making him want to give his best, not out of fear, but out of gratitude. For him, peace is not boring. It is powerful. It is the invisible bond that tells him he has finally found not just a partner, but a home for his heart. A man may be drawn in by beauty, by charm, or by desire, but those things alone will never anchor his heart. What makes him fall deeply, what makes his love last, are the unseen pillars: respect, admiration, emotional safety, companionship, trust, and peace. These are not luxuries to him, they are necessities. When he finds them all in one place, sex becomes only one thread in a much greater tapestry, not the foundation, but the expression of a bond that is already unshakable. Love for a man is not about perfection. It is about finding a woman who makes him feel valued, understood, and accepted as he is, while inspiring him to grow into who he can become. When those needs are met, his heart no longer looks elsewhere because it has found everything it was quietly searching for. That is when he doesn't just fall in love. He stays in love.